To Sri Guru and Garanga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Scheduled Incarnations for Specific Functions. Text number 39. Sarge Kapam Aham Vishayam Navam Yekajesham Stane Atam Dhananam Nakam Manu Amaram Avanisham Ante Tum Adhanam Haram Manivadsham Asur Adyam Nayam Bhutayam Imam Shakti Bhajan Saketa Boham Jayshan Stantadhan Pradisharam Tadhan Vasai Saradhan Shakti Bhajan Could you chant the sloka? You're good in Sanskrit. Sarge Brahma Rajeshaha
Ante Tridharma Hara Manyuvisha Suraja Maya Vibhutaya Ima Purushakti Bhajaha
Maya Bhutaya
Sarge Tapoham Rishayo Navaye Prajeshaha
Saketahayam Rishayana Pajeshaha
Staneta Dharma Makaman Ramadavanishaha Ante Tridharma Hara Manyuvasha Suraja Maya Vibhutaya Ima Puru Shakti Bhajaha Sarge Tapoham Rishayo Navaye Prajeshaha
Madhavanisha Ante Tridharma Haramanyu Sharuraja Maya Vibhutaya Ima Purushakti Bhajaha
Maya Vibhutaya Ima Purushakti Bhajaha
Sarge Tapoham Rishayo Navaye Prajesha Staneta Dharma Makaman Vamadavanishaha Ante Tridharma Hara Manyuvasha Suradya Maya Vibhutaya Ima Purushakti Bhajaha.
Sarge tapoham rishayo navaye prajesha. Stane tadarma nakamam vamamar nivisha. Ante tadharma haramanyivasha suradha. Maya vibhutaya ima purushakti bhajaha.
Sarge tapoham rashayo navaye prajeshaha. Stane tadarma makamava amarva vanishaha. Antitva adarma harmamayu mava mayuvasha surdadaya. Maya vibhutaya ima purushakti bhaja.
Sarjatam parashyo navaye prajesha. Satendra dharma makamave amaravaneshinaya. Antate dharma haraman yuvasa suradya. Maya vibhutyaya imaya perusakati bhaja.
Sarge, in the beginning of the creation, tapa, penance, aham, vishaya, sages, nava, 9, ye prajesha, those who would generate, stane, in the middle while maintaining the creation. Ata, certainly, dharma, religion, maka, Lord Vishnu, Manu, the father of mankind, Anu, the demigods deputed to control the affairs of maintenance, of Anisha, and the kings of different planets, Ante, at the end, to, but, Dharma, irreligion, Hara, Lord Shiva, Manu Vasha, subjected to anger, Asura Adya, atheists, the enemies of the devotees, Maya, energy, Bhutaya, powerful representatives, among all of them, through Shakti Bhaja, of the Supreme Powerful Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. By the way, this is Lord Brahma speaking. At the beginning of creation, there is penance, myself, Brahma, the Prajapatis, and great sages who generate. Then, during the maintenance of the creation, there is Lord Vishnu, the demigods with controlling powers, and the kings of different planets. At the end, there is irreligion, and then Lord Shiva and the atheists, full of anger, etc. All of them are different representative manifestations of the energy of the supreme power, the Lord. Report. The material world is created by the energy of the Lord, which is manifested in the beginning of the creation by the penance of Brahmaji, the first living being in the creation. And then there are the 9 Prajapatis, known as great sages. In the stage when the creation is maintained, there are devotional service to Lord Vishnu, or factual religion, the different demigods and the kings of different planets who maintain the world. At last, when the creation is preparing to wind up, there is first the principle of irreligion, when Lord Shiva, along with the atheists, full of anger, but all of them are but different manifestations of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahadev, Shiva, are different incarnations of the different modes of material nature. Vishnu is the Lord of the mode of goodness. Brahma is the Lord of the mode of passion. And Shiva is the Lord of the mode of ignorance. Ultimately, the material creation is but a temporary manifestation meant to give the chance of liberation to the conditioned souls who are entrapped in the material world. The man who develops the mode of goodness under the protection of Lord Vishnu has the greatest chance of being liberated by following the Vaishnava principles and thus being promoted to the kingdom of God, and not to return to this miserable material world. And then, Maharaj, we'd like to hear your thoughts on Srimad Bhagavatam.
So, Lord Brahma is speaking. Lord Brahma is the first generated person in the material world in this particular universe. So he's the first person in the universe, and he is coming from Vishnu, or Vishnu means God, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Vishnu creates the first living being by himself, without the help of a female. That makes him unique. Therefore, he's also called Atmabhu or Swayambhu, self-manifest. And then Brahma creates by different potencies. He has the ability to create living entities from his mind, for example. He can create. He's not creating the souls. Souls are eternal. But he's creating the bodies. And Brahma is given the task of engineering the universe. He makes the plan, and that plan is determined by Vishnu. But Brahma creates the 8,400,000 different species of life. There are Lakshani, 900,000 species in the water, aquatics. Lakshani, Sravanam Lakshvimshati. 2 million forms of plants and trees. Shalajan Navalakshani, Shalam Lakshmishate, Krimayo Rudra Sankhaka. 1,100,000 species of insects and reptiles. Pakshinam Dashalakshanam. 1 million species of birds. Pakshinam Samkhaka. 3 million species of quadrupeds and Chaturvida, 400,000 species of human beings. That starts from the monkeys up to the demigods, different species. So these species are given bodies, body designs, and then the living entities are given these different species to use as their bodies for their pleasure. It's for their pleasure, and it's also for their, shall we say, reformation, because the living entities are sent to the material world as a you could say punishment for their misbehavior. Why did we leave the spiritual world? That was a bad choice. Living entities left the spiritual world because they didn't want to obey, didn't want to follow the instructions of Krishna. So they come to the material world and they get a chance to live somewhat independently of God. Not exactly independent, because the living entities can't do anything without the supplying agent, without being maintained by Vishnu or God. But they can think that way. It's like a child. Child may think that he's not obeying his parents. So the parents may put him in another room. And he feels that now he's separate from the parents. So similarly, the living entities come to the material world to essentially forget God and to imitate him themselves. So Brahma, he's given the task of arranging this whole universe for the residence for all these living entities. Billions and trillions of living entities. As we heard, even the little germs, they're also different species, and there's a living entity in each germ. And they get their bodies, and their bodies are all designed so well and so well engineered. They all work, they reproduce, they do all those things. They sleep, they eat, they mate, they defend. But how amazing this creation is. The scientists, scientific-minded persons, are interested to know how it happens. And so they have different theories, like Darwin's theory. whereby they theorize that living entities are produced from matter, different material elements. But we don't, that's not how we understand it from the Vedas. Vedas present that everything is organized by persons at the top. Just like government, we have a government, and you could say that it's impersonal in one sense. But you also find there's persons there. At the top, the government is being managed by a person. Similarly, in the material world as well as the spiritual world, there is a person at the top, and that person is Krishna or God. And in this case, Brahma is his representative. Under the direction of Krishna, Brahma works, and Shiva works, and so many demigods. Is silly, or say childish, to think that if we go from one nation to another nation, one continent to another continent, all the land that we pass, if we think all that land is just lying there vacant and doesn't belong to anyone. No, someone is in control of it. And above that person will find there's someone else in control. And above that person will find someone else. And ultimately at the top, there's one person, and that's God. That's Krishna. Krishna? Or he has different names, Vishnu. This is a great science, and this is being taught in the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Vedic literatures. Everyone should understand this, especially those who are in the human form. They have the opportunity to understand this science. By understanding the science, one can learn how he got himself into the mess he's in, where he's forced to go through a cycle of 8,400,000 species again and again. And he learns how he can get out of it, how he can behave properly, what the laws of the universe are, the laws of nature. And then when he begins to act in accord with God's plan, then he can be fully happy and satisfied, free from suffering.
Bhagavatam Maharaj, thank you very much for telling us how to become free from suffering. I didn't know that monkeys were also considered human species. Thank you very much for that information. So nowadays, many people are interested in the genealogy. They're interested to know where my material body came from. But here's the real genealogy, not only of a particular family, but of all living entities all over the universe. So our ultimate forefather is Brahmaji in this universe, and his father is Narayan or Krishna. So ultimately, our original father is Krishna, and this is admitted in all other different faiths, whether it's Judeo-Christian or Islam. God is considered the ultimate father. And there's also a spiritual genealogy, which we see very nicely depicted on this wall in the RBC. This is our spiritual genealogy, our spiritual fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers. And ultimately, Krishna is the ultimate father, both spiritually and materially. One word in this sloka is striking. Tapa. Tapa means penance, austerity. So in the beginning of this universe, Brahma was surrounded by darkness, and to understand what to do, how to create, he underwent tapa for many years. So without tapa, without penance, nothing is possible, either in the material world or either for material purposes or spiritual purposes. Tapa is necessary. Just like Donovan Maharaj in this previous life, he was a champion volleyball player, but to get to that position, he had to undergo tapa, and he also learned from his mother and father were also volleyball players. And in the spiritual life also, we have to practice. Practice makes perfect. Just like Patrick Mahomes is a champion of the Kansas City Chiefs. And to get to that position, he had to be trained from his very boyhood, because his father was also a football player. So he had the opportunity to be trained up from his very boyhood. And also, he has to undergo austerities. He has to practice in training camp under the hot sun to prepare for the fall football season. This is great austerity. And if one wants to be president of the United States, he has to undergo austerities, traveling and campaigning and tolerating all kinds of insults. He creates many enemies also. And austerity is described in Bhagavad Gita in chapters 14 and as well as chapters 17 and 18. And the best austerity is austerity in the mode of goodness. And in the mode of goodness, that austerity is divided into three sections. There's austerity of the body, austerity of the mind, and austerity of speech. And one of the austerities of the body is celibacy. And if one can control sex life, he can become powerful, just like Mohandas Gandhi. He was a family man. And when he was 36 years old, he gave up sex life. He had his wife, he had his children. But at the age of 36, he has stopped sex life completely. He became so powerful, so determined that he accomplished what other people thought was impossible. He drove the British out of India. It took him 30 years, but he did it because he became powerful by austerity, by tapa. This is austerity of the body, and there's austerity of the mind, and there's austerity of speech. One should speak truthfully and beneficially, and one should avoid speech that offends. So this threefold austerity is practiced by those in the mode of goodness. And if one wants to go back home, back to Godhead, which is the highest goal, one also has to undergo great austerity, like to purify the heart from the inferior modes of nature. One has to practice bhakti yoga, which entails many austerities. There's worshiping the deity. We have to sacrifice our time and energy in bathing and dressing the deity and then chanting Hare Krishna. We could be doing other things. We could be earning money for temporary benefit, but the intelligent person sacrifices his time and energy in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And those who worship other objects of veneration, generally those who are in the mode of goodness worship the demigods. Krishna says those who are in the mode of passion worship demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. So the impersonalists are mostly in the mode of goodness, and they worship 5 kinds of demigods for a particular purpose. But ultimately, those who are transcendentally situated worship only Lord Vishnu or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this universe is not eternal. It's periodically created and destroyed each according to time. On a regular schedule, just like there's a cycle of 4 seasons: fall, winter, spring, and summer. Similarly, there's a cycle of Kali Yuga, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and then Dwapara Yuga. These are the 4 cycles, and 1,000 of these Mahayugas creates one day of Brahma. And when Brahma goes to sleep, every time Brahma goes to sleep, this earth is destroyed. But the higher planets, like Brahmaloka, they remain until Brahma's life is over after 311 trillion, 40 million Earth years. So by understanding Srimad Bhagavatam, we could understand this universe, we could understand who we are, we could understand who God is. It's such a nice literature, and this is real education. So this information should be broadcast all over the world, and we're very indebted to Srila Prabhupada for bringing us this literature in the English language for the first time, with the authority backed by the full Parampara authority from the previous acharyas. So Srila Prabhupada does not give us anything new. This is the oldest book. This is the oldest history. And he's just repeating what he has heard from his spiritual master and from the previous spiritual masters. And you could also do this. You could hear what you've learned in Srimad Bhagavatam, and you could benefit others by repeating this transcendental knowledge. And in this Kali Yuga, the essence of religion is chanting the holy names of the Lord. Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Kataranyata. And the real religion is to surrender to Krishna. If there's no surrender to God, if there's no surrender to Krishna, that is irreligion. So nowadays it has become fashionable to manufacture one's own dharma, Hindu dharma, Christian dharma, so many dharmas, but the real dharma is a surrender to God, and in this days always chanting the names of God. And to drive away irreligion, one has to establish the principles of a religion. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in chapter 17, it's the punishment and reward of Kali. And Maharaj Pariksit gave Kali the opportunity to reside in places where there's illicit sex, where there's meat eating, where there's gambling, and where there's intoxication. But in the kingdom of Maharaj Pariksit, there's no place like that. So finally, Maharaj Pariksit gave Kali the opportunity to reside in a place where there's gold. Because where there's gold, where there's great wealth, there's also enmity, and enmity, there's pride, there's falsehood. So by practicing austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, we could drive out the agents of Kali. And this And this Kali Yuga will have the golden age as predicted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For 10,000 years, beginning with the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago, this is the golden age of Kali. But by spreading God consciousness, this whole world can be transformed. Generally, people think that this material world is meant for the enjoyment of the human beings, but this is a false conception. The material world is meant for the enjoyment of the Creator, and the Creator is ultimately Krishna. Jeffrey, thank you very much for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's always nice to have new devotees here. Any comments or questions? After this stage this stage of Kali lasts, how many thousands of years? Yeah, after this stage is Satya Yuga, but it's after many thousands of years.
432,000.
432,000. Yes, thank you, Maharaj. This Kali Yuga began approximately 5,000 years ago. As soon as Lord Krishna left this planet, at the age of Kali began. That was 5,000. Yes, it's just getting started. And at the end of Kali Yuga, it'll be complete chaos, complete hell. And there'll be, the average lifespan will be reduced so much that if a man is 20 or 30 years old, he'll be considered a grand old man. And so at the end of Kali Yuga, people will be so irreligious that it will not be possible to preach to them. So Kaki Avatar will come, and he'll be riding on a white horse, and with his sword he'll annihilate all the miscreant kings. This is also predicted in the Bible, in the book of Revelations, where God comes riding on a white horse. So now that you're young, Jeffrey, now is the best time to take up God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. Don't waste your life like the animals in sense gratification. The human life is a great opportunity. Yes, Jagannath Prabhu.
So I was talking with a nice man yesterday about how through scientific evidence we're able to perceive directly what the truths of the material nature, but in spiritual life they said that how can we test someone's authority when they tell us something transcendental? How can we know for sure that that is truth?
Well, then, the best evidence is considered Shabda. Yes, Shastras are the best evidence. Therefore, Shastras are considered our mother. Just like if you want to understand who your father is, the best authority is your mother. You cannot experiment and ask men on the street, are you my father? Are you my father? Are you my father? By this experimental method, it'll take you. He could go on experimenting forever, and you'll never understand who your real father is. But by hearing from your mother, by hearing, you could understand everything very easily. Just like I've never been to Alaska, but I could understand that there's a vast tract of land called Alaska. How? By hearing from people who have been there, by hearing from authorities, we can understand things that we've never seen ourselves. It's time for this.
What is Shastra? Can you explain what Shastra means?
Yes, Shastra. Anything else? All glories to this divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Now it's time for the Sankirtan festival.
We didn't hear what Shastra was.
Shastra means scriptures, and the Vedas are eternal shastras. The other shastras like Bible and Quran, they're temporary shastras.
So now we'll do the Sankirtan festival. Please grab some instruments. So thank you. So Sankirtan, we usually use that word to refer to book distribution, transcendental book distribution. As Krishna Sravanam said, we try to distribute this knowledge. So every week we try to report our scores. We do so for the pleasure of Sri Sri Gaurnitai, Samprada Acharyas, Lord Nrsimhadev, Prahlad Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and all the assembled devotees, as well as Tulsi Maharani. So this week we have 5 book distributors. So in 5th position, with 2 small books for a total of 0.5 book points, Radhastali Dasi.
Hello.
In 4th position, with a total or one small book, 2 medium books, 1 big book for a total of 2.5 book points, Magadari Das.
Hello.
In 17. In 3rd position, with 17 small books and 1 medium book for a total of 4.75 book points, Bhakta Arka.
Hello.
And in 2nd position, with 3 small books, 1 medium book, 3 big books, and 2 Maha big books for a total of 7.25 book points, Jai Keshava Das. And in first position with 15 small books, 10 medium books, 31 big books, 28 Maha big books, and one Srimad Bhagavatam set for a total of 167.75 book points. Rishi Kumar Das.
Hello.
So this makes a total of 38 small, 14 medium, 34 big, 30 Maha big, and one Srimad Bhagavatam set for a total of 182.75 book points for the RBC total. Book distribution ki jai. Okay, so Rishi Kumar, he would usually give his highlight at this time, and he sent me that. I met a boy named Russ at KU. I have been texting him to come for a few months, and he came and met Maharaj. He wants to read more on Zooms with everyone.
Hello.
He also says one student took a Bhagavad Gita and came back to the book table to ask questions in between class. He also wants to join us on Zoom and on Sunday.
Hello.
Okay, so now we have Jai Keshava. He's not here right now. He didn't send a highlight. He's traveling. So he probably met some nice people on the road. And then we have Dr. Arka. Would like to tell about some of these books. Then we have my highlight. So actually, I gave some books to Jeffrey last night, and he was happy to take some. Book distribution ki jai. And we also have Radha Stali Dasi. She's also on the road with Jai Keshava, and I'm sure they met some nice people. So Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Oh, also Maharaj has some sweets there. Everybody that did some book distribution, you can go and get some. Okay, Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Now there'll be breakfast, and we'll get on with the day. Thank you very much.